Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Late Night Dice, Ramblings from the Warp. We're a little behind track this week because we had Warzone and we got back, we were tired as hell. Not gonna lie, I was pretty beat. I know Christian was pretty beat.
Hell yeah. Got a ticket on the way back. That's how beat I was, wasn't telling how fast I was going.
Damn,
But
really?
no, yeah. But it was all good. I was listening to lore, just having a good time, and I probably was doing 90 for like 2 hours, but we made it back home safe.
This is how I find out he got a ticket. He didn't say shit to me the 3 times we talked earlier this week. No.
Wasn't that big of a deal, bro. That's how good of a weekend we had, man. That's how good Warzone was. I got a ticket. I was like, fuck it. We had a good time.
Yeah, he probably didn't want you to shame him, be like, dang, Christian got this ticket somewhere between these 32,000 emails.
Inside joke.
There's someone listening to this who's not going to appreciate that joke, but that's okay. So,
Justin.
So, Warzone. So, for both of you guys, this was your first time down to Warzone Houston. And I have some questions I want to ask you. Somebody who's been to Warzone before, and then a couple questions that came from the guys at Warzone for you guys as new players. And for us to, kind of answer in general, just kind of get a feel for things. So, my first question was, Christian, how was your experience at Warzone? How did you feel about it being your first trip down to that area?
It was amazing. I actually like Warzone. Where we had it, it was an open venue, open space. We were able to see from where we were at. Everyone was able to see Heresy. We were able to see the 40K side. We were able to see the Age of Sigmar side. Everyone was able to mingle, and we all had enough space. So I really did like it a lot. There's one unique thing about Warzone that I like that probably I don't think y'all. I don't know if y'all had this experience too, but it has to be about the games. Do you want me to talk about it now, or do you want me later on?
We'll get into that. Right now, I'm just wondering the overarch, like how you felt about it. We'll get into the games here in a minute.
Yeah, I had an amazing experience, and for one of the reasons is I have to talk about the games, and when we get to that, I'll let y'all know a little secret. What about you, Kyle?
Oh, okay, Kyle, how about you?
I had a blast. So I was excited to be there. I got to see some old friends, got to meet some new friends, got to meet some people who aren't friends who are now friends. I didn't play against a single bad opponent. Like I had all of my guys, all the guys I met were great. I really liked walking through and seeing the 40K guys though. Like I don't understand the game, and I know that they're a completely different culture, but damn it, they got some pretty armies and some whack ass shit on the tables. And it just makes me walk by and be like, these guys brought 40,000 people and you brought 4 giants. I appreciate that, my guy. So yeah, I really liked the whole experience. It was really awesome.
So, follow-up question. Did we drink too much?
Me and you did. I know me and you did.
For me, I had top 2 moments of the entire thing. The first was, anyone who's watched listen to these episodes, our sign off has remained the same for quite a while. It's been, happy dice, happy life, and fuck Airbus, right? Well, there happened to be a Wordverse player there. His name's Jeff. Cool dude. Guy's cool as a fan.
Amazing dude.
I got to play him in my last game because I was playing Ultramarines and they kind of did the grudge match. And dude, it was a riot, man. The guy was great. And his army was fantastic. 100% earned best painted. 100%, yep. Right? But I walked over to Christian with a shot and I was like, hey, Christian, let's do a shot. And he goes, hey, man, fuck Airbus. And I was like, fuck Airbus. We cheers. This dude turned around like we were talking about his kids.
I felt bad because I was okay. So you gotta remember that's the 3rd game in day 1 that I played. So when Gabe just came up looking like a sad little kid with 2 shots in his hand, is like no one else wants to take it. I was like, sure, bro, let's go. Take it. We did our chant. We did it how he said it. We said fuck Erebus, and I was like, the shock value in my face, and Gabe couldn't tell until he saw Jeff behind me. And I was like, oh fuck, he's playing Word Bears. And me and Gabe both looked back. Oh, it was priceless. He was like, hey, but it was all good. We laughed about it. Gave him a little sticker to Late Night Dice and be like, "Here, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out."
You'll understand. You'll
Yeah.
understand. The other part that I guess floored me the most, one of the new guys I met, his name's Cameron. Cameron might be one of my favorite people that I met this year because he came over and showed me a picture. He goes, "This is me fighting Sanguinius." And he's like, "This is me wounding Sanguinius." He turned around, he looks across at John. He's like, "Your god can bleed." And dude, I was cracking up at that. I was dying laughing.
Was that the
Because,
moment where Jod went on a rampage with Sanguinius, or no?
oh yeah, Sanguinius totally murdered the entire unit after that. But like don't get me wrong. Like some dude walked up, poked Sanguinius in the eye, and then Sanguinius turned into a Doom Roomba. That happened, right? But all he wanted to do was a wound, and poor guy fought 4 Primarchs this weekend. I know for a fact he fought 4 because when he played me, he'd fought the 4th one.
Yeah.
And his last game, they pit him on a table with another militia player, Ian, which Ian is fantastic. They were playing one another, and they were like, "We're playing militia. It's our game. Let's go ham." And they put an extra 3 Bane Blades per side. And I walked over and said, "Hey, who won the game?" And both of them started laughing, pounded a beer, got another one, laughed some more. And I was like, "So who won?" And they're like, "Well, it was down to like these 2 units and these 2 tanks, and we shot each other on reactions, and we tabled each other on accident."
So, also another part about that game, and don't take this the wrong way. Don't take this. That game unknowingly from them was fighting for. I don't like the way they worded it because it made it seem like they were bad players, which they weren't, but they're kind of fighting not to be last.
Yeah.
When they both knocked each other out.
And the best part is like neither one of those guys care about going first, last, whatever. Like both those dudes genuinely just, dude. Homeboy was playing an army with nothing but Ogrins and a few tanks. It was insane.
I know, it was amazing. It was amazing. I applaud him.
I really really enjoyed playing John Rich out of Victoria. Those Mechanicum were vicious.
Oh yeah, that was probably the best game that I played was versus his Mechanicum.
So okay, so we're gonna talk about the games, and then I have some questions I want to ask you from both some viewers that sent in some questions and from the organizers of Warzone. So first, I want to start with Kyle. So Kyle, how were your games? What were some of the epic moments?
And we started off strong. I was playing Thousand Suns, and my list is on paper. You look at it, if you're a really good player, you're like, "Damn, that's gross." But then when you compare it to the pilot, aka me, you say, "Oh, I get it. The guy's the handicap because I am." My guys kill themselves all the time. And I can't wait for 3.0 because it sounds like it's going to be a little bit harder to get psychic migraines. But my first game was against Alex playing Emperor's Children. And I love Emperor's Children. I think they're a beautiful army. Not a big fan of Fulgrim himself, but I like the army. And the most epic moment that really kicked off the weekend for me, my Kenatai Colt, he had a whole bunch of armor. And my Kenatai Colt charged his Spartan because I didn't have enough guns to take care of all of his armor. And they popped a Spartan on the assault. And I was like, all right, cool. And then outrolled his Praetor and the Palatine Blades. And I remember our episode going over the Palatine Blades and how awesome they were. And I was like, oh shit, I think I messed up because now I'm going to have to fight Palatine Blades with Kenatai Colt. And I don't know how this is going to work. Well, how it works is they mop the floor with them. And I felt really bad about it. But my sergeant became a named character in the Warzone events now because of this epic showdown between Kenatai and Palatine Blades. So that was awesome. That was my first time seeing the Kenatai Cult not against just regular tactical marines, and then not completely outclassed by something that they were fighting like custodes.
Yeah, you got a like a condition where you're like, I'm gonna run them at that unit of suzerain, and I'm like, that is not a unit they can fight.
Yeah. It's, I'm trying to find out what's a fork and what's a spoon still. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
So,
Um,
so they definitely found their niche, and that is Palatine blades.
and what's
Okay,
funny?
I have to say I gave them the biomantic augmentation from my Praetor, so they had the +1 toughness, +1 strength. That really helped out a lot. You know, it wasn't just straight up fight, but it's going to completely change in 3.0, and I'm kind of sad that I'm just now understanding how they work, and now it's going to completely change.
What's funny is if Palatine blades get the charge, they mop the floor with you.
Yeah,
It's really like a whoever makes the charge is the one who wins that fight, which is hilarious because I was looking over, I was like watching your game, I was like, damn, Kyle must have tightened the strap on his helmet. He's doing pretty good over there. And
yeah.
yeah, I bet that was a great game because that guy who's piloting Nick, right?
No, it was Alex.
Alex. Which one
Yeah, I
was
didn't
Nick?
get to.
Alex. I apologize for getting his name wrong.
Nick's of the other Imperial Emperor's children, so
Oh, okay,
it was a
cool.
mistake. Yeah.
I know that both of those guys are really cool to talk to. I didn't get to play them, but they were really awesome to play to like talk game with. They were really really laid back and casual. I didn't really see a lot of like. It was kind of weird in the Army's composition this year. I didn't see anything that was like super crazy over the top this year. Everything
Yeah,
had a pretty even amount of bite.
I mean, you say that, but my second to last game on Sunday was against Eric and his Night Lords. And I've never played against Night Lords before, so it's probably normal for them to just drop pod on you. And like, what deployment zone, you know? Because he dropped everything on me. But that led to another epic moment. I'm playing on a map that has special rules that it's like we're fighting on the deck of a ship in space, from what I understand. And the missions gave us any blast template has shred and rending. If you already have rending, gets +1. So my Aether Fire Cannon squad just was a top notch squad, and I got to intercept the drop pods with my plasma guys. And if you have an item with shred or a blast template with shred, it also, instead of causing pinning, they have to take a strength test. So anything that gets hit by a blast template has to make a strength test, and if they fail the strength test, they go flying off into space. So his Praetor and the Terror Squad are Night Raptors, right? With the chain glaives and the chain swords and everything. Yeah, they got blown back into space. Um, it was pretty epic. Eric took it on the chin. He was like, "Man, that was pretty awesome. I'm actually surprised that happened. I'm glad that happened. It was funny." And then he decided to spend the rest of the game killing that entire squad. So he got his revenge. But that was really epic. I didn't even have to worry about his Praetor and the Night Raptors, Night Terrors, whatever they're called. They're terrifying. I don't want to fight them. So that was my two epic moments. Well, and then Ian had one against me, but we'll talk about that one later.
Christian, what about you, man? Talk to me.
So the one takeaway that I have from this that was really amazing and what I want to do more is, so out of all 5 games that I played, only one of the missions was different. And that might seem weird or whatever. There was like 25 different missions. There was a lot of missions going on. But what I found joy in is not knowing the mission, playing it, teaching the mission to the other guys that were there because I've already played it. I found that really enjoyable. Able to help someone else play the game, show them that, like, oh, you never played this before? Yeah, think of this. Think of like there's rhinos dropping from the sky. There's this, that, like putting that narrative, putting that theme on it to make it more of a battle, more of an impact, and it just made that game's like 10 times better. Like, I don't know, it was more enjoyable for me that I was able to show them the mission and play it and us talk about it in that way than me not both of us not knowing anything and be like, how does this work? Where does this go? Like, that's what I enjoyed about that um whole scenario. But I had a lot of good games. I met a lot of good people. First round I played Forest. He was running Iron Warriors with 60 Terminators. We played on a battlefield map where you pick one dude, like your HQ slot or whoever's leading your army, your warlord, and they could only kill each other. If anything else kills it, they come back up on the next turn with like full wounds or half wounds. It never got to that point because me and him knew the mission and we just ran at each other and we just let our warlords meet and we duked it out like that. That's really fun. Second round, I had Nate. Nate has one of, I would say, like, I'm sorry, Kyle, I'm sorry, whoever else will take offense, has one of the most gorgeous Death Guard armies that I've seen for Heresy. They were somehow clean, but Death Guard, and I get it. They looked pretty, and he was like, yeah, I rushed some of them, like 2 days before the event or whatever, and they were gorgeous models. I liked playing that game. That game we were playing, the one where the loyalists have to attack the trees, and you have to find their commander or your commander, and then hold it and take it back. The next game was probably my favorite game, and it was with Jeff. Well, no. Fourth game was my favorite. Jeff, that was up there. That was probably that at the end of day one. That was my favorite game to play, and it's because Jack and Seth redid the mission that I played at Alamo, and they switched it up. But this one, what I liked about it was just all go. And what I mean by that is there was no deployment zones. You had like 20 ruins on the map, and you pick one ruin, spawn a unit in there. Then your next person deploys. So the reason why it was so fun was Jeff, the first thing he did was he sat down. He was playing Word Bearers. He was playing Margall. He set down the Margall, and he was like, dude, I just want to get in a Dreadnought fight with someone. Done. Closest ruin was like 3 away. Just put another Dreadnought there. Man, I wish this guy would fight this guy. Done. Put it right there. So we were kind of like setting up boxing matches. And that was fun. So by turn one, we were already in it. We were already like fighting in melee and shooting, dropping everything that we could. That was my day one. Day 4, that was when I played John Rich in that AdMech list. That one's spicy. I like that so much. That army was also gorgeous. A lot of fucking shots. But what I liked about it was a mission on a bridge, and you have to save the super heavy vehicle. It's broken down. They have to pull it back up. I have to destroy it. Now, we're on a bridge. We have to get to the objective. In my list, I have a super heavy, basically. He has a super heavy. He has a Kaitan. And then there's that super heavy vehicle. I think in all 4 turns, we had super heavies blow up. The only turn we didn't have something blow up was first turn. I moved forward. He moved forward. We set up just to wreck shop. First thing, the vehicle blew up some of my army, blew up his army. His Kaitan was in my line. He blew up like 50% of my army. When my airship went in and just drove right in front of his lines, he shot it down. My plane didn't really shoot anything of his, but my plane also took out like 75% of his army from blowing up. It was like strength 10 AP 2 or something like that. It was something very crazy, and that game was just fun. It was just us blowing up stuff and our armies getting mad about it.
I have to jump in here. That
Yeah.
game, that mission is the wildest mission that I had all weekend.
Which one?
The one on the bridge with the big Bane blade or whatever it was, the shadow sword it was supposed to be.
Okay. Where you had to either
So-
try to blow the tank up or repair it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying my hardest to get to it so I can push it off. Yeah, I have to push it off because I'm the attacker. And I'm playing against Ian and his Death Guard / militia. I should say it's militia / Death Guard because it's mainly militia. And you have to deploy your unit, your command squad, your command unit with his retinue and his transport on the 6 inches of the bridge. on a 6-inch deployment across the bridge, and then you get a 12-inch deployment against the edge of the wall, and I get a 24-inch deployment on my end. So I put all my army out there. He puts his out there. His command is literally a guy, a regular ass human, because he attaches it to the artillery cannons in the back to give them a reroll or a scatter reroll or something. And so he's like, my guy, he's by himself. He has nothing. There's no transport. There's no retinue. And I was like, bro, I'm sorry. My snipers are gonna eat him alive. He goes, I know. It's so sad. But then he had a big ass walker. What was that thing called?
It was a knight.
A knight. And he had a 20-man tactical, and he couldn't put his whole army on the 12-inch deployment. He had some tanks that couldn't fit because of terrain and people. So he's trying to push his 2 turns. He's trying to push his 20-man tactical out, and I blow up the big ass walker, and it kills a couple of guys from his 20-man tactical. And because I'd already sniped out the leadership, they had low leadership, and they failed their roll, and they ran off the board. And I was like, I'm so sorry for that. After I'd already made his artillery guys run off the board, and he was like, "This game is fucked, and I love it, and I don't care. I'm gonna shoot you with these little sentinels." And I was like, "All right, cool." He had a blast. I mean, he got screwed by the mission, but he had a blast. I loved that mission. That was so much fun.
So fighting Ian was one of the more aggravating games I had in a great way.
Yeah. Sorry
I
to
could-
interrupt your story there.
I could not kill his dreadnought to save my life. He made it all the way across the field to my Volkite squad. Had 1 wound left. I attacked him with my dreadnought. He had 1 wound left. The sergeant from my Volkite team shivved him and killed him.
Wow.
But then it blew up and killed 3 of my Volkite.
Oh, of course.
So Ian's a great dude, though. I'm playing against Ian. I've played against him, I think, what is it? 1 Alamo and 2 Warzones. So 3 times now I've gotten to play against Ian. No, 4, because I played him at the first Alamo and the second Alamo. He didn't make the third. So I've played him 4 times. And I've played him at every event, and Ian's always a really fun opponent, and he's really great. And his lists are always something off the wall. Like this year, I was like, "Oh, you brought more Death Guard?" He's like, "No, I brought Militia with Death Guard allies." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, because that really sets the pace."
He had
And
a really cool list.
He really did. What really was bad for him was the mission I played him. You got extra points for killing artillery.
Oh, that's messed up. Man, we're gonna have to have a chat with Seth and Jack and be like, "Look, y'all gonna have to analyze some builds and say like, okay, cool, maybe we shouldn't put the all artillery guy against Gabe on
He only
the
had
map
2.
where he gets extra points for getting it artillery."
He only had 2 artillery units. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 2 extra points. It couldn't have been any worse than, I don't know, the time I had to fight Iron Warriors on that map with the exploding templates and the shred.
Oh yeah, anything with shred gets
Boo-hoo.
spinning. Yeah, that map was so much fun. Oh, I do want to say shout out to Nate since we talked about him. We owe you a decal, my friend. We're gonna send you one, a transfer. I'm gonna design it, or at least help design it, and get Gabe to print it for you. And we're gonna send it to you because you deserve it, because you killed Lionel Johnson with a fucking dreadnought, a box knot, I believe.
That dude in general is just a fun opponent.
Yeah,
I'd met him at Warzone last year, but I didn't get to play with him or like really interact with him at all. But he was dope in the APOC game.
Yeah.
And when I played against his Death Guard, like, and it was rough. I didn't go first the whole weekend, except for the game I played against Cameron. So every game I was like, yeah, so night fighting, just trying to stay alive, because I was like, ugh, that's a lot of las cannons. And as I was playing Nate, I kept forgetting things. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I can kind of hide over here and skirt. He won't move those las cannons and shoot me. And he's like, oh yeah, Death Guard don't care. And I'm like, you're right, Death Guard don't care. That sucks for me. Small mistakes like that. I was making those kind of small errors, and then he sent Typhon up there and was like, yeah, man, cool. I want to fight. And I'm like, cool, G-Man's down for a fight. I mean, it's not fair to send a Primarch to kill Typhon, but
talk shit, get hit.
Playing Jeff was hilarious because I was like, yeah, I'll charge Argyle Tall and the Galvor back with G-Man and some suzerain. No sweat. I thought I was going to wipe the whole unit. That did not happen. They stuck around long enough to tie me up to let the Marigal get to me. And once the Marigal fought me, G-Man could not wave down my Contemptor fast enough to get it into that combat.
Turns out it was a sweat.
Oh, dude. He's was like, oh yeah, my Marigal's gonna throw these wounds in here. I'm like, I'll take him on G-Man. I'm like, it's 6 armor saves? Cool. I fail 5. So G-Man immediately turned into old boy from Incredibles when he grabs Jack Jack and he starts changing and he starts screaming at the top of his lungs. That was G-Man, bro. I was not ready for 5 wounds and 1 smack. I got backhanded. At that exact moment, G-Man was whistling like one of those cholos, like, get over here, Dreadnought. Yeah, so I brought the Dreadnought in to kill the Margal, and like the back half of the game, G-Man's walking around with this 1 suzerain and librarian, like it's gonna be okay. That was a really good game. Playing Nate was a lot of fun. Playing Cameron was a riot, man. All those Ogrins were hilarious. I didn't like that when I killed their dad, they all went to weapon skill 5 Ogrins. Did not like that. So, did you guys get to play against Cameron?
No.
No, I didn't.
So, Ogrins have this wild, like, kid loyalty that whenever their warlord dies, they get +1 weapon skill and +1 strength, making them weapon skill 5. And I made a boo-boo. And my boo-boo was that I fought the warlord fight before I fought my other fights in the same turn. So I kill the warlord, and then all my other fights go to shit. Because all of a sudden, every one of these 8-foot-tall Ogrins are Sugar Ray Leonard. And they can box now.
They just learned how to footwork out of nowhere, huh?
Bro, 100%, every single one of them was like, they killed Dad, and just started throwing hands, dude. Murdered a unit of Locutarus, which I am not used to having that happen. Especially not with a dude who speaks in banjos per hour. Was not ready for that. My game against John Rich was amazing. His Mechanicum put me on my heels through the whole game. The whole game, I was fighting for my life. I was like, thank God it's night fighting. That's a Scoria. I can see it now. Not good. The whole game was just rough, man. But it was such a blast to play him.
So, the funny thing about John Rich in that game, and it was honestly like the turning point. Like I said, turn one, we walked up, did whatever. Dude, he did the most rudest thing I could think of. He got his Thanatar with living metal, or is it living? What is it?
Paragon of Metal.
Paragon of Metal. I was thinking Magic the Gathering, but he had Paragon of Metal, and he decides to snipe out the First Lady. All shots at her. Not even looking anywhere. I have 2 dreads on the field. I have the freaking Air Force One on the field. I have Mr. President. Everything's on the field. And this man just walks up, says, I'm going to snipe the First Lady. He fucking sniped her. Killed her. There was no chance I was saving that. After he did that, everything went to shit. And it wasn't even by me. Just the super heavy vehicle decided to blow up. His Kaitan that got into my lines couldn't kill the 2 dreadnoughts that were right in front of him. So that blew up. Air Force One blew up in his base, killed about, honestly, 650 points worth of his army. It just went downhill from there, and he was like, I shouldn't have did that. That was rude. Like, even by the end of the game, he was like, I shouldn't have killed her. He was like, I should have sniped something else. Why did I go for the First Lady? I don't know why I did that. It was actually really funny. He was like, after he did it too, he was like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen. He was like, that was rude. It was funny.
He was like, that was rude. All of a sudden, I got some Mechanicum dude chirping, and Miss Cleo like something bad's gonna happen. I don't know where,
Exactly,
and
dude.
I don't
He
know
did
when.
it. He did it, and it like if you played against him, you know what I'm talking about. John Richards was just like, "Oh, that was the rudest thing I've did all day or all tournament." I think his exact words were, and I was like, "Yep, okay." And it just went downhill from there. I was like, "Dude, I don't know what to tell you."
Don't shoot at my wife. I'm telling you. You're gonna have a bad day, Jack.
So let me get into some of the questions. So the first one, and honestly, I'm kind of ashamed I didn't notice, but did you guys notice that there was no Alpha Legion, which was a big thing for me? I'm used to seeing Alpha Legion. But there was also no Shattered Legions and no Black Shields.
Yep, we had
There were
knights. That
there
was
were also
crazy.
there was also no demons.
Yeah, I didn't notice any of that.
Now, I also want to point out there were 4 custodes, which is completely out of left field. That never happens.
That's completely uncalled for.
Two of them were
I
also brand new custode players. That was pretty
so
cool.
so first question. Did you guys think the narrative was more engaging this year?
I did. My main complaint, and I've said this to Seth's face multiple times. I don't feel like I have time to read a novel of a mission and play the game at the same time.
Okay, follow-up question. Do you think that's a reading and comprehension issue or a size of the mission packet issue?
Truthfully,
I have a
laugh all you want.
good brain.
Laugh all you want. But I haven't played these missions 17 times. So I don't remember them word for word.
So what's
I
funny
didn't do
is
them right the first time I played them at Alamo
what
Dome.
what's funny is I play all the missions and they always change in a really small, subtle way. Because they're constantly trying to improve the missions and make them better. They do keep a lot of
Right.
the same themes and things like that, but they kind of rewrite them in very small ways. This
And
year I
props to
played
them for that.
well, this year 3 of the missions I played I'd never seen before. And so I was like, "Oh, I have to play this mission that I've never seen. What's the objective?" Okay, that's not good for me. But I did like the missions. I like that they had the story posted on the screen where it showed percentage of wins losses per table for
Mhm.
loyalists and traders. I really liked that.
Man, I'm a data analytics guy. I would break down that data left and right. I'd love that part.
The narrative was there. It was everything was 10 out of 10. The data was there. The missions were amazing. Um, like you said, we could really tell from the missions we played at Alamo that they tweaked them a little bit, and they took feedback from everybody. You could tell that they play tested these a lot. It was there. I give it 10 out of 10 for missions.
All right,
I give them props. The missions, yeah.
so second question on that. What was your favorite mission and what was your least favorite mission? Kyle, you're first.
Mm. Let's see. The first one, Emperor's Children. Basically, hold objectives. That was okay. I mean, that's a basic one. I didn't hate that one. I'm trying to think of what the objectives were or what the missions were. They all kind of blended together. I love that bridge mission. I know we've talked about it, but that bridge mission was so fun. It wasn't until the bottom of turn 3 when I got my turn to go, and we were running out of time. Scott walked by and said, "You haven't blown up the tank yet?" I was like, "You can blow it up?" He goes, "Yeah, you can blow it up." And I was like, "Well, shit, then I'm just going to shoot it." I spent the entire time trying to get to it so I could pull it up.
So again, is
Again,
it reading the mission that's hard for you, or
technically that part of the mission was on the second page, so it's not my fault. Put it all in one page. No, again, I didn't have time to read it all. And yeah, a part of it is like, I know some of these words, I don't understand immediately how how things interact like they say they do. So yeah, I mean, a little bit of I'll give it to him, a little bit of comprehension, but definitely too thick. That space one with the shred and the blast templates, it's a fun mission, but there's just so much that you have to read, and I don't think it's possible to for normal armies to do the main objective, which is get to the other side of the map.
I'm
I,
I'm gonna say this. I did it with the Ultramarines.
I'm just saying, I got drop potted on. My guys got immediately charged. I didn't have a chance, and so I
But
think
did
that mission's tough. But I liked it because I blew the shit out of Praetor with plasma cannons.
you got to work on that sentence structure, that finish.
Freezing. My bad. I'm gonna edit that out.
Nope, you're keeping it. All right, Christian, favorite mission, least favorite mission.
So, as I've already said, the favorite mission was the bridge mission, but I'm not even going to say it's favorite mission or like bad mission or least favorite mission because I'm going to give a shout out to all my opponents, Forrest, Nate, Jeff, John, and Lance. I don't think there would have been a bad mission in my mind because there's not, just because of the way that we played. Wasn't no rules lawyering. We put our armies on the table. There was no back and forth of, oh, do they really do that? We just rolled and took our word for it. And the energy and just how everyone just held themselves together. There was no yelling or anything like that. That's what really made the mission, which made it go smooth. Even if there was something that probably didn't work with the mission, we just talked it out in 2 seconds. We were like, yeah, narratively it should work like this, or I think it works like this. All right, let's do it like that.
So
Like,
I got John Rich on Falling Skies. And Falling Skies is where the transport in space is breaking apart and it's raining rhinos. And when the rhinos touch you, you take a strength 12 AP1 destroyer hit. Right off the bat, turn one, half my tacticals are gone from these stupid rhinos. It hit right between two of my scoring tacticals. And I was like, we're getting off to a start here, boys. That was a banger. Well, late game, John still got his Thanatar. He still got his Thomas the Trains. He still got his Vorax. He still got Scoria. I'm back here like trying to do the first half of the worst rope-a-dope you've ever seen in your life. And a rhino drops and it touches his Thanatar. And I'm like, up. And he's like, but if I pivot the rhino, because the rhino is on these craters, the craters are uneven. So you can kind of pivot it to where it doesn't hit the Thanatar. And I'm like, come on, man. He goes, I'll tell you what, on a 5+ it hits him. I'm like, cool, roll it up. He rolled a 6. And I was like, show me potato salad. Like, I was like, let's go. Let's get it. And so the fact that you're right, the fact that everybody who was playing this weekend was willing to just say, like, you know what, hey, it ain't that big a deal. Roll a dice about it.
yeah. Also, back to that game on the bridge, there was one of these dreadnought on one wound. Take the Kaitan blowing up. Tank the vehicle on one wound. Tank the vehicle. Tanked his Thanatar. It got to the point where, like, on the last turn, it was either that dreadnought goes into Scoria and his unit, which Mr. President was already there fighting him for like every turn, actually. I was like, but it will be cool if this dreadnought moves 8, then makes a long bomb charge of like a 7 or another 8, and gets into your Thanatar, and with one wound just kills it. He was like, that would be baller, and it happened. At the end of the game, just the dreadnought on one wound that just has been surviving his whole army. And when I say his whole army, he even took like 30 shots, 40 shots at it just to like see if he could go through. Nah, it was tanking them all. went up to a Sanitar, chopped it down, and I think it blew up. It tanked that, and there was like this one lonely like unit that he had. It was like one dude that was like running away. I think he like rallied and then shot at him, and then it killed it. Like it was the one thing you would think wouldn't kill it. Killed my Cladius Dreadnought with the shield. But no, that was that game. That game was just amazing.
So for me, my favorite mission had to be Emissary of Death. That's where we had to get the body in the middle and like keep control of it till the end of the game. I like that mission quite a bit, and I was playing against Nate, and it was probably because I was playing against Nate. He's a really good opponent, and he's a really good guy. My least favorite was the mission I played against Jeff, and it wasn't a reflection of Jeff at all. He's a fantastic opponent. It was a fantastic game. That mission just, I'm gonna put Jack on blast. I know it's bad to do this, but I'm gonna put Jack on blast. Not everything has to be a QR code. If I had to give feedback, like good feedback, having one QR code for the people, and then another QR code for the mission, and then another QR code for the mission pack, and then another QR code for the other guy that we have to fight. Like we were having to flip through 4 different documents to play that game. That was a little rough. The mission itself wasn't bad. It was all the crazy like back and forth. It really slowed everything down.
Now, was that a reading comprehension issue?
No,
Oh no, because Gabe got all the rules right. He read through all of it.
No, the problem. So here's the problem, right? So you have the one QR code for the mission itself, right? The mission pack. Well, then there was another QR code that was on the table. We were like, what are these? Well, a lot of the times they're like, hey, don't open the envelope until you grab the body or do whatever. Well, the QR codes weren't labeled. They're just QR codes on the table. So I'm like, hey, Jack, there's nothing for here. He goes, we got to scan the QR codes. And I'm like, well, it's not like there's a fucking how-to guide, buddy. You know, there wasn't an instruction manual. So, you know, and I could tell that it was kind of aggravating Jeff too. He's like, okay, well, I got to flip over to this other page. And since he's a relatively new player, he kind of pulled the Kyle. He's like, those are words. I don't know what they are, but that's definitely a sentence. Because he didn't know what Furious Charge was, he didn't know what Counterattack was, he didn't know what Rage was. Like it was, these guys had lots of little rules, these little characters they added to the missions. So I don't think the mission was bad. I just think the execution needed some help. Which, if that's the worst it gets, fantastic.
Right.
So, next question. This one's actually kind of a hot topic for me. I'm not gonna lie. How did you guys feel about tables being able to interact? Being able to like interact with other tables, like specifically the artillery bombardments.
Didn't affect me this year, but that I think that's because there was a lot more people, bigger show to event, so it didn't affect that much. I don't know because okay, no, I got hit by it once, and I think it landed on one custodian, and that custodian just tanked everything. I think he just took 1 damage, so he was down to 1 wound. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't talk on this one because it didn't really harm me at all. What about you guys?
Man, Cameron, and this is going back to Cameron. This, and I mean it with all love of my heart, bastard. On this bridge map, I hadn't moved yet. It's still Ian's turn. So my guys are all lined up on the very edge. It's a 24-inch deployment zone. He knows this. He just played this map. He's like, oh yeah, cool. I'm gonna drop this directly in the center of Kyle's army. And I was like, I haven't even had a chance, man. Like, why? And then it boxcarred straight to the middle of the bridge and did nothing. And I was like, yeah, hey, the dice gods love me today. And then my snipers blew their head off. But, you know.
So I had that shit dropped on me 5 times.
Oh, that's why we didn't notice it. Because it was all going towards the Ultramarine players. Got it.
I got that shit dropped on me 5 times. And the first time it got dropped on me, it was by Cameron's hoe ass. So, but let me tell you what, I'm sitting here playing my game. I'm looking at Nate and I'm talking back and forth. And I kind of look around him. I see Cameron doing this Nancy Kerrigan-like stretch with a tape measure, trying to measure up my stuff. He's eyeballing to my table 3 tables away and trying to measure out on his table to see where he's going to guess it over there. I'm like, no. You're supposed to eyeball it. He's like, nobody can eyeball that. And I hear Seth from the back. He goes, Gabe can eyeball anything. So I'm watching him do this little stretch or whatever. And I'm like, hang on a second, Nate. And he goes, why? I'm like, I'm about to get an artillery bombardment dropped on me. And he's like, I don't know if they can do that. And they're like, hey, Seth comes over and goes, hey, so Cameron shot this artillery at you. And Nate just looked at me and I'm like, yeah, get it over with. He dropped it on me. I got it dropped on me 2 times in the next game. And I got dropped on me again during the Word Bears game. I got bombed with that thing 5 times. I loved the mechanic. It was fantastic. Going back to that reading and comprehension thing, because nobody bothered to read the packets, you could go in and ask for fire support from that table. But nobody read the mission pack or submitted anything. So there was actually a sheet that you could.
I knew you could do it. I'm just not. I'm too busy trying to play my game. I don't have time to worry about trying to call in an orbital bombardment.
Fair enough. One of these questions we already answered, which was, did we like being in the main hall or do we want to be in our own little room?
I like the main hall, man. We got so much attention from 40K players walking by. I like the main hall. I think we picked up a couple of new followers, or at least some new people in the Discord, just because they walked by and were like, I remember Heresy. I kind of want to check it out. And so we were like, boom, late night dice, check us out. We cool.
Kyle, did
Christian?
you walk to the 40K side? Random question. Did
the 40K side was the ones on the side on the left of us, right by the bathrooms.
it
No.
depends on your orientation of it, but no. 40K side was on the back end.
I didn't go back there. I don't know who I saw. The ones with the neon rainbow painted blimps.
That was Age of Sigmar.
Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
Age of
Those
Sigmar
are
had
Sigmar
stick
guys.
it though.
So all that shit I
Okay, well,
talked
never
about how
mind.
awesome
Question.
the 40K guys looked, changed 40K to Sigmar because that's who I was talking about.
Well, random. I was just asking because me and Gabe had a little question like off topic, and we were talking about display boards, and because we're not really seeing them anymore. The last two events that I went to, the last 2 events that we went to, so Alamo and Warzone that we've been to personally, I saw them actually a lot now, in the 40K side and the Age of Sigmar side, or whatever. And just little thing, me and Gabe were like, man, we wish more people would bring that back, get back into the hobby of painting. I get it, it's not for some people, but I'm starting to see a little resurgence in that, and I'm happy. I'm hoping a lot more people start doing display boards again, showing off the pride of their army.
Oh,
But
I'll throw
back,
down. I'll throw down the gauntlet.
yeah.
If you're a heresy player and you don't have a display board, you're doing a disservice to the hobby. Do better.
Okay, let me put it this way though. One thing we have to dial back on is because as talking to some of the people there, some of these people like amazing painted army, but they painted it up like that night, like it was their first time playing heresy. They were just getting into it to start their venture into heresy. So all you guys out there that don't have display boards that we played this weekend, it's okay.
Do better.
But it makes your but it does make your army look amazing. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to look like Gabe's or whatever. It could just look like mine. Mine was just thrown together out of nowhere with some red lines and they're looking like American flag. Even Gabe criticized how it looked. He was like, "Look at your edges," and I was like, "Eh, it's whatever."
Hey, I can't knock it too much. Like I got some uneven corners on mine, but like I like display boards because it shows like a pride in the theme and everything else. Like that's one of those things that I guess different generation with you kids. But so the other question that came up was and this is kind of like I don't know if it's going to be a hot question or not, but how do you feel about the scoring system for Warzone?
What scoring system? As in, because there's multiple. Are we talking about
So
like
so
the
I'm
event
talking
scoring?
about we're talking about the overall event scoring. So at the end of it, there's like an overall score, and there shows like a whole system, where you're scoring your opponent's army, their list composition, their sportsmanship, and then all that's kind of weighed together and has an overall score. Like, how do you guys feel about that scoring system?
So after thinking about it a little bit, like long drive home, thinking about the scoring system, how they do stuff, I actually like the way Jack and stuff do that, because the questions that they ask for scoring for the event, it's something I like it. I could just say I like it. And the only reason why is because I think we had this conversation during the event. I was like, well, if this event was based off scores, as in the missions, I feel like it could get lost for scoring points in the missions if it was based off that instead. So I like the way they do it the other way, where it's more about the narrative, it more about how you are as a person playing. Um, just because you'll know this better, Gabe, to give the listeners more information, what were the four categories that we had to score off of again?
So I don't know the intricate nature of how they weigh them. I know that some have higher weights than others, but there's a few questions that you answer. The first question you answer is, how was your opponent's like list composition? Did it have a good theme? Was it really cohesive? Did it play right? Did it work?
Would you
This
want to
is
play against that list again? Is my weighing factor.
no, that's a different one entirely.
Yeah.
So when you look at list composition, it's things like, did the guy bring 30 suzerain and call that a list? Did the guy bring, a way to bring 7 dreadnoughts and call that a list? That's not a cohesive list. That's not a themed list. That's not a, all comers kind of thing. When I
60.
think of when I think of lists that are really well built, I think of Calvin's White Scars, where it's a healthy thematic blend of tanks and bikes and speed, and it has the gimmick of the Keshig and all the kind of stuff. It flows like a White Scars army. When you look at armies like, like, this is going to be one of those that is kind of like in between. The army Forrest played was all Terminators, right? Well, depending on how you view that list, that's a pretty thematic list, because a whole first company is going to be Terminators. You got first of the fray, bro. You got dealer's choice, right?
uh,
But in the sense of like a theme, it's going to be so rare to see just Terminators fighting, especially during the heresy. Like, you're going to see a mix of stuff. So in a sense of list composition and doing things like that, would score mid for me. An
yep,
idea of
exactly.
an idea of an army that would score really, really low. I didn't see any armies this weekend that would have scored below a 3. Right.
Yeah.
My idea of an
Um,
army that would score really, really badly is an army, like, as weird as it sounds, like it kind of like the army I took to Alamo. I would have scored that really low. It's like, oh, so you brought heavy weapons and heavy weapons and heavy weapons and special weapons and special weapons and a tank. Neat. There's no theme to that other than, I guess, World War One reenactment, like trench lines. Like, it's that's one of the parts of the scoring. The second part of the scoring is painting. Was your opponent's army painted? Was it based? Was it fantastic? Like, was it mid? Was it minimum? On a scale of 1 to 5. And what a lot of people get mixed up on the scoring is, everybody wants to be a good guy, and they're like, oh man, it was a great game, I gave him a 5. A great game is a 4. An average game is a 3. A 5 is like, there's a 50-50, I'm going to introduce this guy to my sister. Right?
wait.
That's
Your
Wait, wait.
sister or someone
Yeah.
else's
no,
sister?
Your sister or normal sister?
I'm talking in generalities, right? This is guy you're going to bring home to meet the fam. Like, a 5 is like above the cut kind of thing, right? One of the other things that you get scored on, if I remember correctly, one of the other things that you get scored on is, the sportsmanship aspect.
Mm,
But it's completely different because sportsmanship and heresy is a little bit different than 40K. Because like in 40K, when you roll up to a game, like you're getting that kind of game. You're getting a, for lack of a better term, you're getting a whack game, a win at all costs kind of theme, because that's kind of what the 40K tournament scene looks like. In heresy events, it's like sportsmanship is like, hey, did you feel oppressed? Did your opponent disclose everything to you? Did I tell you my rules? Was there a ton of gotchas because I purposely didn't tell you information? Those are the kind of things that drive down your sportsmanship score. Like one of the things that pops up a lot is I'm a pretty good player for heresy, and I get pretty high sportsmanship scores majority of the time. The main reason for that is I explain everything I do as I do it. So if I shoot you with a unit, I'm going to say, hey, these guys are hitting on twos because of this rule, and this other squad shot at you. And so I'm hitting on twos. I'm like, all right, cool. Rolling to wound. I'm going to wound on twos because I'm strength 60, your toughness 4. I say everything out loud. So there's no gray area, right? Where people start getting frustrated, and I know it's something that frustrates me, is whenever you just start doing shit. And I'm like, hey, what was that? It's kind of like tipping in a restaurant. If I got to ask you 3 times to fill my cup, I'm going to have an attitude about it. Right? Like, I hate to break it to you, right?
Shout out to the
So
guy at BJ's after fucking our first day there.
Damn.
Oh,
so
dude.
so poor guy, man. He was trying his best, but damn, he was struggling. But yeah, like if you're gunning to be, good in sportsmanship scores and things like that, like those are some of the things that you have to keep in mind is, if I was playing against Kyle's army for the first time, like even now, I don't 100% still remember all of Kyle's stuff. So it's gonna be it's gonna be one of those things where Kyle says, oh, this guy's gonna activate Pavoni, and I'm gonna ask you, hey, what is Pavoni? And I will do my best not to ask that thing multiple times. But if you hear your opponent, like it's kind of picking up on the cues, right? And you guys see me do this a lot, where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and somebody goes, hey, what is that? I'm like, oh, and I explain it. Well, if I do another thing and they're like, hey, what's that? I'm like, okay, this is a brand new player. He's never faced this before. We're going to elf this shit. I'm going to explain like you're 5. Don't take offense to it. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. But I will explain everything as I do it so that you don't feel blindsided. You don't feel cheated. You don't feel shorted. You don't feel like, you're like, oh, man, I lost because I didn't know the rules or the guy didn't tell me anything. I never want you to feel that way. I want you to go into that game with both eyes open and say, like, hey, man, that was a great game. He explained everything to me. There was no surprises. And sometimes I give away the plot, man. I'm like, hey, just so you know, this unit can do this. And you're like, oh, man, they're really close to doing that. Yeah, I don't mind giving away the plot if it means that we both have a good game and you don't leave with a sour taste in your mouth. So that's where sportsmanship comes in. So all of those have different weights. And then there's also the community voting for the best painted army. That all goes into it. So all those scores weigh together, and they have like a percentage of which ones weigh. I think sportsmanship has a higher weight than the other ones because nobody wants to be a dick, right? And nobody wants to play against one. I don't know the actual way they weigh them. I will say this, Jack, Seth, if you are listening, and I hope you are, I would love a better breakdown on the post scores that show where we scored the lowest so we can work on it.
Little transparency. Yeah. And
I'm not asking for the algorithm.
Right. I'm not asking for it to be clear, but yeah. And to flip that on the players, all the guys who are listening that played with us, leave comments. Say, hey, don't say I gave you a 2 because I hate you, but be like, hey, your sportsmanship score would probably go up if you explained your army a little better. Your painting score would go up if you put more than just 3 colors on your army.
But
don't be an ass.
I don't agree with that.
Don't be an ass, and it would be anonymous.
No, I don't agree with that at all. Keep it whatever how they have it. The reason I just don't ever want bad blood. I don't want some stuff getting out about what some other people said, or if they don't like it. I like the way that they do it because in the end, people have different views of when they're scoring the stuff. So it is actually, I think, harder than just talking about it and having a solution, how you're saying. I think there's a bigger problem there. And because think about it, like we talked about Kyle's army in the Thousand Sons, when we were saying he has a lot of bags of tricks. He even forgets them himself.
Yeah.
Me, I think why I scored really high on it is because literally looked at everyone, said I play custodes. I basically have 5 across the boards on everything. My first 2 turns, I'm just gonna run at you. I'm not gonna shoot you. I'm gonna run at you. My only trick that I have is they gave us a coin that says we could do this, that. There's a sheet of it. I was like, I don't care what the sheet says. There's one of them that I want. Free reroll. I get to reroll 1 dice. I'm always going to use this on my aircraft coming in turn 2. Never used it for anything else. And that was all my bag of tricks.
I will say
I didn't have to tell him anything
I have
else.
some bullshit in my list, and I know it is. But like with Alex, my first game, I was like, "Hey man, I'm still kind of new to this game. How seasoned are you?" And he's like, "This is my second game." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'm going to explain every single thing that my guys can do, and I'm going to tell you when I do it, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it."
Yeah,
Still
like
could be overwhelming for some people having to think about that while they're playing their arm.
right. But when I tell them like for my Kinatai Colt, I told them, hey, at the top of every game, I have to roll their Mind Song of Blades. It gives them +1 to weapon skill, +1 to attack, and +1 to movement. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, but it also has the possibility of killing 3 of them. Well, killing 1.5 of them. But I was like, so I'm just going to tell you, hey, I'm rolling my Mind Song. Remember that thing? Yeah, here it is. Their leadership is a 9. I rolled a 7. They're good. You know what I mean? So I know I got a bag of tricks. And I know I could be, sneaky Heidi about it, but I'm not. I try not to be.
Well, I think the other thing that we have to keep in mind is like the reason why I'd like a little bit more transparency on the scores. It's just so that people can say, like, oh, well, I looked at this, and I was, Kyle and I were talking on the way home, and he's like, hey, where do you think I need to work on my stuff? And I'm like, well, you took a picture of the scores. What was the lowest? I know that there's some guys that their armies, it all comes down to popular opinion. Like Kyle's army. I know Kyle's army is not going to be a fan favorite because it's got a lot of shit.
Yeah, a
Not a
lot of
fan
people just
favorite
hate
with
on
me.
Thousand Sons.
And I guess this last question, and this one came from Seth directly, and this is going to be one of those like subjective answers, but how can you make the event better? Raw opinions.
Oof. Where can we begin? I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you what my 2 are right now, Seth. This is for you directly. 1, it was bullshit. I had to buy my Warzone mug. That should have been provided because I'm awesome, but I understand the power of merch, so I'm not that mad about it. Second, that's really all I got, man. I really had a blast this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Kyle, do you have anything?
I think we should extend the APOC game to another round.
Ooh, you're not wrong. Because I really enjoyed the APOC game.
I really enjoyed that APOC game.
Shout out to John Ridge for running it. It was his first time running an APOC game.
Yeah, he did a great job. I had a blast. That was my first crazy APOC game, I guess I should say. Because Lake Hammers is crazy in its own way, but it's one big square table, not 14 tables that are turned left and right and left and right and left and right, and it's 14 feet long.
It was 6 tables.
6 tables, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like every time I looked down, I was like, God damn, there's a whole battle going on in Vietnam over there.
This homeboy is over here telling the fish story. It's just gonna be a bigger. Next time, it's gonna be 88 tables. They were in the shape of a dick.
Man, it was cool. We all stood in a circle. We were playing. It was like we were reenacting Reach. We were just standing there on this big ass halo.
Okay. I will say, Nate was fighting for his life on that far side.
Dude, he needed some milk. That's for damn sure.
I remember walking over there and I was like, "Hey, do you need help over here?" He goes, "There's just a lot of infantry." I'm like, "You need me to thin that out?" And he goes, "How are you going to do it?" And I was like, "I'll be back in a minute." I went and grabbed that apocalyptic blast template for the Nemesis, and I was like, "I'm going to drop this right here." And I killed like a whole swath of people. And Nate was like, "Thank you, Gabe." like just thinning out the mix, man.
Every
Poor
time I turned
Aaron.
around, there's another unit on the other side of the table from me. I was like, where are they coming from?
I felt sorry for Aaron because I charged his Porphyrion with my Warlord, and my Warlord had that Power Fist. That was rough, dude. Because he like showed me his wound counter. He's like, man, look at how many wounds this Porphyrion has. It said 69. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I think I did like 44 wounds to it. It was a little obscene because that Power Fist is crazy against Titans. But that was just a great time. Aaron's always a good time to play against, man. I'm kind of bummed I didn't get to play him this year, but I'm also kind of happy I didn't get to play him this year because I did not bring an army that can handle knights.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even shy away, bro. Like,
I wanted a test, bro. I wanted a test against that night one. That's the one I kept on asking questions about. I was like, ooh, can Air Force One really blow up like 2 knights a turn? Let me see if I could do that. Let me see if I could do this. I really wanted to play that list, ended up not playing it. But random thing on your question.
Mhm.
What they could do to make the event better? Now, this is not towards Jack or Seth. This is towards the players. And this falls on me too. If we could spend thousands of dollars on these minis, let's all come together and next event when we meet at Warzone, everyone get a cart. Because that was the one thing that was holding back everything. And it was not Jack or Seth. No one had places to put their armies except like Gabe and a few other people because they had carts and display boards. I don't care about the display boards as much, but if we have carts, so when our army dies, we could put it there and not put our said army or said display board on another board and mess up like all the terrain and stuff. If we had
I'm,
places to put our armies, I think
I'm
we should all get carts.
I'm feeling attacked about my display board. You're like, I don't care. I don't care about these display boards. I'm still like that dude. Like every time I come here, I'm abused.
But you get what I'm saying? I feel like
Yeah,
we needed more room in the venue. Well, not the venue itself, just as players, because no one knew where to put their models. No one had something on the side of them to place their models on or to carry their stuff. Instead, we were fucking up terrain and other tables that weren't being played and moving everything, causing future games to be like, "Oh, Seth, is this right? Oh, Jack, is this right?"
and
So
for
those
the
cards.
record, guys, this is coming from one of the guys that didn't bring a cart.
Exactly. I said why I'm one of those problems.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I think we should all get a. They're like only what $20 on Amazon.
I'm
No, they're not.
guilty of
They're not that cheap. But I will post a link to them in the description. I'll put a link in the description for those of where to find those cards.
I'm also guilty of when I played on the edge tables, I grabbed one of the spare
Yeah.
tables and pulled it over and put my
I
shit
wasn't
on it.
I wasn't gonna throw you under the bus on that one. And Kyle saved not only my life but the other person's life because we were playing back to back and Kyle was like random table in the middle of everything that no one had anything on. Just grabbed it, put it in, and he was like, "It's a table. It's what it's here for."
Yeah.
Me, him, and I forgot who else was just all three put our armies on there, put everything on it. It's like I guess this is where we're stacking our stuff at.
Yeah,
So
it was a good year though.
yeah.
On a wrap up thought, I am gonna say this. I want to say thank you to everyone who entered, everyone who did. We were able to raise $820 on the raffle army.
Shout out to
Oh
Susan for
yeah.
winning.
Yep. Shout out to Susan for winning the army. That was fantastic. Uh, AKA Ian, because he got his mom to proxy his tickets. I
So
cannot.
Ian won?
Yes. So the best dude, one of the highlights of the day, I go over there and I'm doing the whole drawing and everything, and which caused a whole other problem. I yelled at Jack because he touched my models and I hate that. But he came and apologized and gave me a shiner, so it's all good. But I was sitting there doing the drawing and I handed the thing and Alan's like, Susan something, and he's like, it's an online purchase, fantastic. And I see Ian walking by and he's like, that's my mom. That's my mom. And like I'm like, okay, Ian's on his bullshit because it's Ian. Ian's always saying or doing something crazy. About 20 minutes later, Alan comes over and goes, hey, Gabe. I'm like, what's up, Alan? He goes, I just want you to know, I confirmed a family photo. I confirmed a birth certificate. I talked to her on the phone. I checked her Facebook. This is really Ian's mom. It's like perfect.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, Ian did it, and then the little bastard, and toward the end of round 5 comes over. He goes, "Hey Gabe, I got a question." I'm like, "What's up, man?" He goes, "What's the best thing to strip models? I came into this army and I kind of want to repaint it." And I was just looking at him like,
Hell no.
I will kill you with a lead pipe, dude. Like, are you serious? I'm just kidding. He goes, "Can you send me the paint recipe?" I'm like, "Yes, I will send you the paint recipe." But dude, shout out to everybody. $820 going to the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. I couldn't be happier about it. I'm gonna post all the stuff about that in our chat, and I'm gonna spread it to all the discords where we had all of the all of the entry links and everything else, and show you guys the donations. It was a fantastic thing. I'm glad to have done it, and I hope I get to do it again next year. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Well, that being said, guys, this is going to wrap up our Warzone episode. Jeff, turn away. As always, happy dice, happy life. Fuck Erebus, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Adios.